we all came together at the end, and they had like 10 or 11 kids. They were all maybe 9 to 13 years old. And they had a lot to do in the play.
Linda said she's gonna be about 10 minutes late, so we may, we may be about there by the time she gets here. She was at bed. She said, so.
Oh, okay.
Hey, are you?
Good, how are
Okay.
you?
Oh, pretty
Oh,
well.
still today?
Yeah.
Yeah, every day, right?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
You know what I got caught by? A train in El Dorado today when I came here.
That doesn't happen very often.
No.
Good, how are you?
Anyway, we went down to Monterey and to the Monterey Peninsula and that 17-mile drive. And I did check to see how much it cost to play golf at Pebble Beach, and it was $750. But I bought some hats.
Yeah. I thought it'd be more than that.
Yeah. It was beautiful there, though. I mean, it's just. Went to Alice's restaurant there on the West Coast and went to Half Moon Bay. And, just filled 3 days of.
How long you were there?
Yeah. I told my nephew the company and fish only lasts 3 days. And
yeah,
so I came in on a Friday. Saturday, we went up to the mountains. Sunday, we went to the San Francisco Giants ball game. Monday, we went down to Monterey, and Tuesday I left.
That's about right.
I put.
What I wore a jacket,
Is
so.
Kim? Is Kim? Yeah.
I would assume so.
Do you know,
See if we can catch her running across the parking lot.
huh?
See if we can catch her running across the parking lot.
I don't know. I was trying to see if I could see her. Oh, there she is. No wonder we couldn't see her. Heather, are you guys ready? Are we ready?
Let's start.
The-
Dave's got
Linda's
started.
going to be a little bit late. Okay.
It's 4. Oh. I still have 5 more minutes.
You're out of time, your public comment is left. Yeah.
Okay, it's 4:30, so Linda is going to be about 10 minutes tardy. And so I'll call the meeting to order, and the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. So shall we please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next thing is the approval of the agenda. Do we need to make any modifications to the agenda, or I will entertain a motion to approve?
I've got one. I would move item 10CA, the Butler Hazardous Mitigation Plan, to board action items 9D.
Okay, move 10C
10C.
to 9D. And do I hear a second?
Wait, not 9C, 10C.
Yeah, 10C
No, it
to
is.
9.
10C to 9D.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Ready for a roll call?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
Trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, and so that is done. Any other changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the agenda as amended.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. With a motion and a second, roll call?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, and our next order of business is recognitions, and Dr. Kroll has those, and
Let me turn the microphone on. So we have a couple of recognitions tonight. Jan Stitt wasn't able to be here. She's helping serve dinner tonight with students coming and going, but pretty recently there was a really nice article that College Relations and Marketing compiled about her support, especially for our international students. International students can't work off of campus because of their student visa. And so she employs a number of them each semester in our food service locations. And so she's really, really supportive of the international students. But I told her I really wanted to recognize her because she takes good care of everyone. It's not just the international students, but all of the students, faculty and staff, constantly thinking about, what they need. She has hosts food service committee meeting a couple of times a semester to visit with students and to find out if they need menu changes or if there are problems. But she's been, boy, Bill, how many years here? Yeah, we've had Butler was Great Western Dining's second client when Warren Hunt started that company years ago. Newman was first. And so they've been here for lots of years, but I just wanted to recognize Jan because she just does an outstanding job. And
She does a great
yeah,
job.
she really does. And I gave her certificate. Angie was up here earlier this afternoon, so I gave her certificate to Angie to take to her, but she apologized because she wasn't going to be able to be here. So
Let's give her a round of applause.
yeah. I also want to recognize a team of 4 great people. Derek is here. I'm going to sit at my microphone here, but oh, there you go. Sorry, you snuck in. I wasn't paying. You have the trophy even. I think you need to stand up. Joe Leibrandt, in ag, Derek, who has been an ag instructor and is a new associate dean, Mandy Tetrick, who's our assistant registrar, and Avery Nelson out of the foundation are the Butler County champion goat milking team. And, we chuckle about that a little bit, but, oftentimes we recognize people that have been at conferences and those kinds of things or students for their academic performance. But this is an important connection for our college in the community as well. These folks are busy with 4-Hers, helping other 4-H families prepare for the fair, and, helping their own kids and stuff. But it's a really, really direct connection, again, between the college that's visible and people out in the community. And if you've read through the career and tech ed monitoring report, there's a whole list of things that our faculty in these different areas have done. And so I wanted to recognize, I told these guys, I'm gonna do this on the board agenda. I said, and I'm serious, I really am,
Did every one of you have to,
thank
every one of you had to do this?
Yes, and we beat the Butler County Commissioners.
I think that's fabulous.
And I'll just say as a 4-H parent and also an employee that works here, it's great to see our institution supporting these students in such a way. And I can honestly say that students who have received scholarships that they have gone through 4-H, we're getting them here. They're coming here, we're recruiting them in, and they are extremely thankful and appreciative and deserve value our partnerships with our community.
And they write the best thank you notes.
You'll see, yeah, you'll see next month in the board book. I think I got 8 or 10 thank you notes in the mail the other day from 4-Hers that received Butler scholarships. So you'll see those in the board book next month, but yeah. And they're all ages. I mean, they're not all seniors
They,
getting out of high school, but they
they're
can,
senior division.
yeah, senior division. Yeah.
So they might
So-
be future students. They could be students that are, I know for a fact, one student actually who was graduated from high school in May, they changed their plans because they earned a certificate for scholarship hours at the college. And so we were able to get them at least for a whole academic year just because of that opportunity.
Well, thank you folks for representing Butler
Way to
in such a
go.
great way and
You'll
congratulations. Is this a traveling trophy? Does it go to each person's office?
It has traveled. The next stop is the ag facility right next to the National Livestock.
Awesome. Very
Great
cool.
esteem.
Very cool.
We do want to begin next year.
Oh, defend your championship. And then my next recognition is Aubrey Cornett Graham. I think Aubrey's online. Wave to us there, Aubrey. Aubrey is the director of Butler at the El Dorado Correctional Facility and does an outstanding job there. And she was selected as the contract employee in that contract employee category for the third quarter by the folks at EDCF. And again, I think that's a reflection of the positive impact that Aubrey has out there, the work that she does, and the great things that Butler does in partnership with EDCF. And so we just want to say congratulations, Aubrey, and thank you for your great work. And I have a certificate that we will get to you, okay?
Thank you very much. I
Congratulations.
appreciate it. Thanks.
And then I also want to say that Forest Roads had a birthday on August 1st. So we're just a couple of weeks late, but happy birthday. Thank you. Yeah.
No singing.
Okay.
Did you get a cake?
No. Crumble cookies, maybe.
Oh, that's all I have.
Okay, and so I saw one person for public comment.
Mhm.
And so with that,
He's got a copy of it. Yeah. He gets-
I need to read this before we do that. The general public is welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comments section of the regular board meeting agenda. Public comment should also be germane to the business and activities of the Board of Trustees. The public is also welcome to address the Board of Trustees during the public comment portion of any special meeting agenda, but the public comment at the special meeting should be related to an agenda item of that special meeting. Personnel issues are prohibited from public comment. The board chairperson will ask visitors wishing to make a brief comments to identify themselves and the topic they are wishing to address. If several members of one group or organization wish to speak to the board concerning the same item, the board chairman may ask the group to identify a single spokesperson. A time limit of 5 minutes has been set for each recognized member or spokesperson of the audience to speak to the board. The board will take no action during the public comment period of the board meetings. However, it will take the matter under deliberation and, if appropriate, direct the president to follow up with a written response and report at next regular board meeting. With that,
We
we're
have,
regular for public comment.
we have David Sundgren to talk about the budget. We'll let you know when there's 1 minute left.
Yes. Linda's a good friend of mine, but I wasn't particularly happy to see the timekeeper come in. Is this on? So anyway, I spoke once about in the 1990s and then again at the last board meeting. But in 1990, the reason I spoke was because they were talking about the football program and not supporting it so much. And we had a really good coach, James Shebus,
here. And so I wanted to make sure that he was supported. And it was at the time WSU had just shut their football program down, and K-State had decided that they were going to have a class football program, and they hired a coach. And the rest is history that anyone that follows football knows. And the difference it has made in those universities over the last 30 years is phenomenal. And so the last time I spoke were on the virtues of this college, and I spoke in a lot of different ways. And the point was that there's a lot of good things that come out of this college. There are a lot of people that have put a lot of time and a lot of money in this college. And actually, in 3 years, this college is going to be 100 years old if I'm doing my times right. And so I have a good friend who's a rancher down at Beaumont, Pete Farrell, and his grandfather and my grandfather were instrumental in helping get this college started. So other than the things that I talked about last meeting, it's really important to me. One thing I wanted to say is that you can't, and this has to do with budget and money and things like that. And you can't make something successful by throwing money at it. On the other hand, you can't really make something successful by cutting costs. A good friend of mine, Dave Calloway, who's deceased, was in the insurance business. And he told me when I started in business, he said, there's two things you want to remember. He said, number one is you can't be successful simply cutting costs. He said, you can cut costs all the way to zero, but the way to be successful is to increase revenue. He said, because revenue is unlimited if you're innovative enough. And I always remembered that, and I've used that in my business. Cities and businesses don't grow by just cutting back. They grow by innovation and service. And WSU and K-State are two good examples. What I want to say is don't let the liberals, don't let the conservatives, don't let the naysayers, and don't let the politicians tell you how to run Butler Community College, because none of them are right. We let politicians put us in a position of jeopardy financially, and you guys have cut a lot of costs, and good for that, but you can't do it forever. We need to tell the politicians that they work for us, that we don't work for them, and we need to tell them what they need to do to help our college. I'll leave you with one last thing. When I was a trustee, Jackie Vietti, who is a longtime president, her favorite saying, and you've probably all heard it, was Butler is the second largest and the first best community college in the state. And it didn't get that way without a lot of work. So thank you.
I told you. I'm gonna turn. We're to the standing reports. How about that?
So we had no. Okay. So standing reports, Student Government Association report.
I don't think we would probably have any since students are back tonight. So.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
You might need to move the microphone in front of you.
Operational staff report, Zach.
Not a whole lot going on operational staff agenda wise, but other than welcome back tables, we will be at Rose Hill and over in El Dorado on Monday and Tuesday next week to welcome back the students. So other than that, and our next meeting will be in September. Okay.
Thank you. Next, professional employees report. I think we have someone new. Oh my goodness, so you might tell a little bit about yourself quickly. We won't give you that 1 minute.
Members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is not Terry Sater, which I think is still on the agenda. But I am Camille Freeman, and I've been a full-time faculty at Butler teaching math for the past 12 years. As the newly elected president of the BCCEA, I am honored to represent our dedicated faculty, advisors, and counselors. As this is my first of many addresses in front of the board, I would like to begin by reviewing the purpose of my presence here. I'm here as the voice of the professional employees. I'm here to represent their concerns, achievements, and priorities to the board. I hope that my reports will come across as I intend them to, and that is as communication and not complaint. At the beginning of this new academic year, I am happy to report that faculty morale is high. The professional employees are really thrilled with the quick resolution to this year's negotiation cycle. We deeply appreciate the compromises that came out of our negotiating sessions, and we look forward to the resolution of the contract and to many more effective, productive negotiations in the future. I want you all to know that while the professional employees remain dedicated to standing up for their rights, they also genuinely desire a closer relationship with the board, one where we can build mutual trust and understanding, and I am fully committed to that goal. To that end, I am excited to get to know you all better and to work with you for a better Butler.
Thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you each month. Next, Board Finance Committee.
We have
Bids for-
nothing right now,
Okay,
so thank you.
I will pass out to you. Jennifer's on maternity leave, so Kim's in charge here. I pulled the wrong statement of revenue and expenditures for your board book. So here's the the correct one. And of course, only just a couple of months into the budget year, so there's not a lot, but I wanted you to have the correct copy instead of the one that's in the board book. Thanks. Took me a couple of tries even to find the right one.
Okay, Foundation Board report. Forrest.
Foundation Board will meet we meet this quarter, it'll be next week, so I'll have a report at the September meeting.
Okay, thank you. Educational Facilities Authority report.
We are meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock at the city building.
Okay. And progress on the
turf is down and being practiced upon, and the track is down, and found out that it'll be the 23rd when it gets lined by a professional lining company. And if you go out there, because I've asked many questions about this, you'll see that the track is red, but then you see little gray areas around turn 2, well, technically turn 1, 2, and 3. Well, those are the handoff zones for each of the 8 lanes, so that those people who are judging important track meets can figure out when that little baton is supposed to be passed. So that's the difference in the colors. And it's really looking great out there. The purple is really purple. It has Butler with the Butler logo, the Grizzly logo. And then on the other side, it has El Dorado with the Wildcat logo. Too much of the chagrin of many of my alumni friends. It has the new logo versus the old logo, but that's to be expected because they adopted a new logo. So anyway, that's my report.
Okay, thank you. President's report, Dr. Kroll.
Thanks. I did have it all typed out, but again, I lost it. I probably stapled it to something. So, I'll find it in a month. That's what I'll do. But I think I can recapture the things that I was going to tell you. First thing that I would like to do is to introduce to you our new Vice President of Academics, Dr. Barry Robbins. Please stand if you want to. It's his second day here. He came back. Yesterday was the first day of PDD, busy, crazy, and he was back this morning at breakfast at 7 o'clock. And so if you want to take just a couple of minutes to tell them a little bit about yourself, feel free to do that, please, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. As she said, my name's Barry Robinson. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. And I come here and first I want to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity and then also to look forward to building a better future for our student success here with a great team. So thank you very much for everything.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we've already, I guess at the work session, I introduced Christina as our Vice President of Digital Transformation, but I want to do the same thing publicly and have Christina be recognized as well, VP for Digital Transformation and CIO. And Christina, if you have a few words you want to say, you can do that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to step into this role as the Vice President of Digital Transformation and CIO. I've been at the institution for 22 years. I started out as a student worker technician and worked my way through IT. I still have love for routing and switching. It will always be a part of me, but I am excited to take on this new endeavor. So thank you.
I wanted to also kind of give a shout out to Matt and his team. Tyler's sitting over here. Garrett probably was involved as well, but and with Chip too. Chip was there too. Okay. So they just recently finished the National Baseball Congress event, which showcased 36 collegiate baseball teams over a course of 10 days at X Stadium in Wichita at WSU. 11 of the games were back-to-back nonstop for 36 straight hours. So they stacked it.
Baseball around the clock.
Yeah, baseball around the clock. That evidently was a part of the history of this that they brought back this year again for NBC this year. And so our BC TV Plus team, these adults and our student team, were contracted to provide the video production and the live streaming for all of that NBC tournament. So the video production team was comprised of 13 students, both current and former, alongside 3 full-time employees, Matt Jacobs, Tyler, Garrett. I don't know, Chip, why you weren't on the list, but Chip was there too, evidently.
They wouldn't if I wasn't there.
The Butler production trailer, which you've seen, that's wrapped with all of the great Butler pictures, the fantastic Butler production trailer, was on the WSU campus for 2 weeks, providing advertisement for Butler right in the middle of Shocker World. Yeah. What'd you say?
It didn't get burned.
Yeah, that's good. The event garnered significant attention with 82,000 views on YouTube. And Butler invested in 1 advertisement, yet more than a dozen Butler ads were featured per game, maximizing the visibility and the outreach. This is not only a revenue generating opportunity through the contracts that BCTV connects with, but it's also really a phenomenal experience for our students to be involved in these kinds of things and to have the connections to the community and the people that are involved. And so it really provides them with practical real world experience and creates a lot of enthusiasm and energy. And my understanding is that they were able to recruit 2 new students to the program because of being there and having, contact with some students that weren't part of our program yet. So thank you and congratulations. That's great.
Matt, did we call some of the games or was it just doing the video?
I did too.
Okay.
Did Dennis call any of the games?
No, he's just in summers.
Oh, okay.
So Kelly just said that she received a voicemail related to NBC and it says, this is Danny Ringer in Southwest Oklahoma. And this past weekend, I watched the NBC College World Series and Butler did the videos on YouTube. And then I was there in person. And y'all, that's what it says. And y'all probably don't get these calls a lot, but I just wanted to call and tell you that y'all did just an outstanding job. And I felt like you needed to hear that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Kelly.
Way to go, y'all.
Yeah. Don't forget that Melanie McLemore, who's our director of Residence Life, invited all of you to Fun Day Sunday. This Sunday, August 18th at 4:30 p.m. at the residence halls. They're going to kick off all of their fun stuff and their welcome week activities. And then I also want to share an invitation with all of you from Jennifer Green Miracle and the foundation folks. The Butler Foundation is proud to present as our next guest for the Harold Smith Cultural Series. That Harold Smith series was established through an endowment to the foundation from Harold Smith, providing opportunity and funding to allow the foundation to bring in nationally recognized speakers, but to hold those events free of charge so that people don't have to pay admission charges to come. So the next Harold Smith Cultural Series is on Thursday, September 12th, and Mitch Holthus, who's the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, is going to be here to present an inspirational message to students and members of the community. It'll be in the power plant in the gym starting at 7. He was recently named Kansan of the Year by the Kansas Society of Washington, D.C., and has also been recognized for his charitable contributions to communities across Kansas for a number of years. So it should be a really fun and exciting evening to listen to.
And he's a Kansas native, Smith Center,
Yeah.
Kansas.
Yeah. So anyway, add that to your calendars. I will try and send a reminder out to you, just to help you remember. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, next, Dr. Linden, the Career and Technical Education report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I get underway, are there any questions from the report that we can answer for you right now?
I just had one, maybe. Is this correct that we've dipped a little bit in culinary the last couple of years?
That is correct, but that ship is being righted in a big way by way of, first of all, implementing as of this fall, a fall-only start, which essentially introduces a cohort model, which brings efficiencies in terms of food purchasing and course schedule.
Okay.
And as of just yesterday morning, enrollment in the program was on par with where we stood this time last year. And by the time we get to the first day of classes, it's expected to exceed where we were last year at this time in culinary. And the team that's in place now is doing a fantastic job. There was an open reception at the Redler Institute of Culinary Arts last week. It was well received. And the team that's in place now did a wonderful job of putting that on.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Mayor Martha.
I just think it's wonderful. You're adding those will classes on the weekend. I think it's a big plus for the community who cannot go during the week, but yet can come on the weekend and get
Yes.
their certificates.
Well, thank you for catching that, because that was in partnership with Heartland Welding Academy, which is in Andover. We worked closely with the owners there, and we're continuing to build that relationship to even make it more robust moving forward.
Great.
And overall, I just want to point out some figures in terms of our credit hour production across CTE. 2023 versus 2022, we're up 7.2% across the division. In terms of credit hours, in terms of overall, we're up over 3%. And so that's impressive. The number of completers you'll see by way of the monitoring report itself is dipped a little bit, but not in a significant way. But every one of our programs is committed to working with our industry partners, having a presence out in the community, and with our high school partners as well. We're very engaged and present within our high schools, and have a robust partnership with the Early College Academy at the same time.
The completers are measured, correct? ESOM and they have to complete within a 3-year period of time to be considered.
Yes.
A completer. So it's important when you look at these numbers to understand, in some of these programs, not all of them, some of them are pretty defined and pretty cohort based. We have a lot of students who are part-time students that come and go and don't take full loads of credit hours. And so they don't complete within 2-year or 3-year time frame. It may take them 4 or 5 years to get completely done. We don't get to count them. So if you look at some of these numbers and you think that they're low or oh my gosh, we don't have very many that are completing. Well, it's not a very clear It's only a measure of the ones that get completed within a 3-year time frame, because that's the definition of a completer in the way that information gets submitted. So, these numbers probably don't reflect the total amount that really complete over a period of time, because we have so many that are part-time students.
And there's there's a lot of notable information across the division that's part of the monitoring report, but one that stands out that I wanted to share with you all the more was the certification pass rate by way of our cybersecurity programs as part of overall computer information systems, software development, and networking, something that Christina can sure relate to. So not only do we exceed the state pass rate, we exceeded the national pass rates in just about every category. So, for example, the test outward for Network Pro, for PC Pro, Ethical Hacker Pro, Routing and Switching Pro, Client Pro, Test Out Hybrid Server Pro, we exceeded both the state and national pass rate averages. So that program overall across the department itself has a lot to offer, as seen by way of these pass rates alone. And there's much more to share from that area at the same time. And I would be remiss if I didn't take just a moment's time to introduce our new Associate Dean of CTE, Derek Faust. He's been on the job for 2 months, and he's already made his presence known across our division. He's doing a terrific job. He joins us from the faculty ranks after being a vital member of our ag department for 5+ years. And he's just doing a fantastic job, and I wanted to acknowledge him this evening as well.
And tell everyone where you're from.
I'm from Maryland originally.
Just amazing. That's great.
Are there any questions I can take at this time, or Derek can take?
It does look like the diesel program is really
Yes.
taking off real well.
Thank you for bringing that up, Shelby. Our enrollment in diesel is fantastic. As a matter of fact, as early as May, diesel was fully subscribed for fall, which starts next week. It stood at 14 students. Its sister program, if you want to call it, our automotive program, is at 16 students as of yesterday. And we are refining that curricula and making some excellent headway there in terms of the diesel curriculum. It has a very robust industry advisory committee that's actively engaged in that, namely by way of Andy Hoffman from Peterbilt. Very committed. So the diesel program is doing very well and going to grow. We just had a meeting with Todd Williams today, Derek and I, about looking forward to even growing and building on that momentum even more, looking ahead to next year already.
Great.
You might get a new motor for your bus.
No, they already fixed it.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
That's maybe something people don't realize. I asked Todd, I mentioned to him once that I had an old school bus. So if you guys want to work on it, I'll buy parts. So we drove it over here and he had to stop and we had to undo the brakes a couple times to get it to the college. And there's like $1,000 worth of parts, but he said they worked on it for like a whole semester.
Right.
So it's kind of, I don't know if there was a way, if there's more people in the community that want to bring vehicles that they need to work on. I don't know if Todd has a need for stuff like that.
This is one of the initiatives we're talking about, diesel as well as automotive. And Todd did mention today at our meeting that the bus is finished.
Okay, and I need to pick it up. I need to maybe get a ride. A little bit scary to drive.
How many passengers is it?
It's a big old school
It's a
bus,
big-
isn't it?
Yeah, it's
It's a full-size school bus.
probably a good 30 passenger or 40.
Yeah, it only has maybe a dozen chairs in there, but it'll be a
Mhm.
food truck or a camper or a martini bar. I don't know.
So we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, board self-evaluation, I think.
Yes.
Kim has copies
I do.
and,
I think those are on my desk too.
as always, I'm the holdout, just not good at taking surveys. So you've got 6 responses and not mine.
That was you last year.
That was me last year too. I just keep I just keep that going.
Dave said he was bringing his own.
Yeah, I did bring my own.
I told Mary
Thank
Martha, I
you.
said, "Oh, pick up many copies. It's paper.
Yeah, I've got one already.
Oh, do you? Okay.
So with that said, thought that potentially maybe we'd not go through this this evening, but if you do have comments that you want to make at this time, that would be great. And go from there. Do you have any comments or?
I think we made comments on that.
Yeah, and I haven't really digested it yet, so.
Okay. We'll move forward. Shelley's.
She is not here, so I'll go.
You'll do
I
that.
can do these,
Okay,
yeah.
so policy updates.
Yeah, Shelley's really under the weather this week and so is home and so let me walk through some of these changes for you. The employee handbook contains the policies and procedures on probation, suspension, and termination for cause and progressive disciplinary procedures. And it was really time to update some of the language a little bit, make it reflective of a language that's a little bit more concise and relevant to employment environments today. And so those are included in the board book. We can walk through those. She noted that the things that are being deleted have a strike through and the things that are being added are in bold. And so under the probation, suspension, and termination for cause, you'll see that in the first sentence, it was added that an employee may be placed on probation, suspended, demoted, or terminated for just cause. And it really just kind of reflects deleting that second language where it talks about, in addition, he or she may be demoted for just cause. So it kind of combines those. Employment of an employee can be terminated without following the progressive disciplinary process when warranted, such as when it is determined that gross misconduct, willful neglect of duty, or criminal conduct has occurred. Those are in boldface, so they have been added to just clarify some of those situations where we would, might be a situation where we would quickly terminate an employee if we needed to. Employees may be terminated without cause when the college eliminates a position or a program. And of course, in the master agreement, that process, especially as it relates to professional employees, the full-time faculty and the advisors, that's spelled out in the master agreement for the professional employees. Just cause discipline, including termination, should be supported by evidence, including facts reasonably believed by the college to be true. A just cause basis may include conduct that contravenes board policies, rules, and procedures included in the handbook, including, again, she's clarified some of this language, gross misconduct, threats or acts of violence, falsification of college records, including time clock, leave reporting, and or expense reporting, illegal conduct, including crimes of dishonesty or moral turpitude, serious breaches of professional conduct or safety rules and policies, gross insubordination. Failure to maintain required certification or licensure, demonstrated and documented inability, those have not changed. She kind of consolidated, there was a statement in here that included, again, kind of a list of things. Unlawful manufacture, distribution, dispersion, possession, use of a controlled substance or abuse of alcohol on college property or as part of any college activity. She consolidated that and just said drug or alcohol related misconduct rather than to include all of those words. Failure of an employee to notify Human Resource Office of any criminal drug or alcohol statute, charge, or conviction, or a violation occurring within the workplace or the course of job duties. So again, you can see that some of it is just to clarify that language, consolidate some of the sentences, make things a little bit clearer. Under the suspension section, current wording says an employee may be suspended with or without pay by the president. She's eliminated or his/her instead and just says or designee or the board of trustees if in the judgment of the president or the board, the suspension is necessary to protect the best interest of the college. Presidential suspensions with pay are not appealable. And again, struck the sentence that says appeals of suspension shall be in accordance with the procedures spelled out herein. she just reworded that to clarify that and say that grievances of suspensions shall be in accordance with the grievance procedure in this employee handbook. Again, the next paragraph, she just struck the his/her from the sentence. And then under the section at the bottom where it says non-renewal of professional employees, that current statement just said professional employees need to reference the master agreement. And again, she just clarified that by saying the master agreement addresses the non-renewal and termination of professional employees' contracts of employment that may follow the grievance procedure in the master agreement. So again, just to clarify where that information is for the professional employees. Under the progressive disciplinary procedure, nothing has changed there. As you get down through that, except again, at the very bottom where it says, employees who believe they've been disciplined too severely or without good cause may use the grievance procedure. Professional employees should reference the master agreement. And she added then for additional policies that may be applicable to a situation. Again, kind of clarify that for the master agreement and the professional employees. In disciplining employees for repeated problems, supervisors, and it says must, it's been changed to should, consider the time interval between the incidents. The passage of time without incidents should reduce the importance of the previous incidents. These are in the board book this month, just for discussion. And just to give you an opportunity to see where these changes are, would be on the agenda next month for approval. The changes would be on the agenda next month for approval. So do you have questions about these that I can write down and take back to Shelley or try to clarify for
I
you?
have a couple.
Okay.
What is the president's designee? That,
Well, we use that sometimes. You know, it might depend on the situation. The president's, my designee might be Shelley in HR or somebody like that. It would be somebody that was employed by the college, but it also lists you as trustees too. So
yeah.
it kind of just, that's in other policies that we have. I think it gives a little bit of latitude in case you have a situation where, for instance, maybe I'm too close to the situation and shouldn't be making that decision, or, something like that, then I would have to assign that to somebody else or to you folks.
That'd be like a supervisor or a vice president.
Yeah, likely it would be one of the vice presidents or associate vice president or something like that.
And then on the alcohol one that was struck, it just says, it's in the middle of page 34.
Right.
The part that's struck says use of a controlled substance or abuse on college property or as part of a college activity.
Mhm.
Now it just says drug or alcohol related misconduct, which could be,
You think that's too general?
I think, on college property, because if you're at a private party and you get a little tipsy, that's drunken misconduct maybe, but it may not have anything to do with your job at the college.
Oh, so you want on college
I would
property?
think
You
so.
want on
I would keep
property
that just to
Okay.
That makes
not
sense.
micromanage. it.
Mhm.
Or as part of any college activity, you can
Right.
leave that,
College
that
property
whole
or
portion
function.
of it.
Okay.
Because we do have some buildings where,
Yeah.
Well, policy approves alcohol consumption in some of the buildings on
Right.
campus. Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah, I just put a little mark on those. We can readdress those. You want to continue to include on college property or as part of any college activity.
Yes.
Other
Dr.
suggestions?
And this may get a little bit along the same lines of where Shelby was going, the addition of the language for illegal conduct, including crimes of dishonesty or moral turpitude. Is it our intent that that would apply to any, if that occurred entirely off duty, would we still desire an ability to take disciplinary action against somebody? Or is that meant to include contravening board policy, which would presumably limit it to that activity in the course of performing the job?
Well,
I think it needs to be clarified. I don't know that I have a strong
There
feeling one way
are-
or the other, but I don't think it's clear whether off-duty conduct is meant to be included by that.
well, there have been situations when off-duty conduct has resulted in loss of job, especially if there's criminal charges filed and, you know, and somebody's going to end up in court.
Is there a separate policy that this is going, is there a separate policy in the handbook that would prohibit that sort of behavior? I mean, if this is just meant to refer back to something that's prohibited by another policy, then I don't know that we need to be as specific in this policy, but
No, I don't think there's any other policy. This is the policy.
I think we probably ought to add some language then to make clear to our employees that that could include conduct occurring off duty.
Would it be in the employee handbook for like, I assume like a teacher-student relationship would be super taboo in most instances, but
Should be.
I mean, I guess if it's an older student and they're, I mean,
That's
but
consent, yeah.
I don't know.
How did you say that? It could include conduct while not on duty? Is
Right.
that
Could include off-duty conduct.
off duty?
Could include.
And to me, that's a facts and circumstances kind of, I don't think it lends itself to a categoric one way or the other, but I think it's, to me, it was vague as to whether off-duty conduct was meant to be included by this. So if we
Okay.
think it should be, then we ought to say that.
And
Let
where
me,
would that?
let me share this with her and we can come back with some revised language. I'll let her kind of review it and offer some
Moral
thought.
turpitude is pretty broad.
It is, but that's pretty
no,
common
yeah,
language in,
yeah.
in contracts and policies and
We just
stuff.
don't want anybody to think we're trying to,
Yeah.
Will this be reviewed by our attorney before?
Yes.
reaching?
Yeah, any of the major policy changes where we're doing, you know, major wording changes and stuff, Ray always looks at those too before they. And so probably what we would do, and I don't think that she sent these to him at this point in time. I think she wanted to put them in front of you first, but we'll make some changes and send those on to Ray and then we'll get them back in the board book. for you.
Forrest, where was that to be? Could include off-duty conduct.
Right in the,
In the
sort of right in the middle of that
big paragraph.
second paragraph.
Oh, clear up here.
Yeah.
Right, all that bolded.
Thank you.
and I had a question, not really related. This says on 36 informal job performance standards. I don't think we've ever talked as a board about teacher evaluations or reviews. But
Those
I'd
aren't-
be interested to know how that process happens. I don't know. I don't think it's every teacher all the time, but
No, it's not. I mean, there's very specific guidelines and steps that are mapped out in the master agreement. We can show you that section on their evaluations and that evaluation process. There, any changes to those kinds of steps would be part of a bargaining process that we would have to sit down with the faculty and negotiate any changes to the actual steps.
yeah, I'm just not sure how it operates. If
Yeah,
The teacher
we
gives
can-
students, if they choose to give them, like, hey, let me know how you like my class. Is that, do they do that on their own volition or is it mandated or?
It's, there's a regular schedule for how that happens. Am I right? Esam and you guys that are faculty members, I think there's an actual schedule for how those evaluations happen. And for instance, you know, every faculty every class, every semester is not, they don't do student
Every so often.
evaluations. It's on a schedule.
Separate things. There's the faculty evaluations that we do. and
Come
then
to a microphone.
Right.
Can you come to a microphone or sit? And that way, we want to record you.
Sorry, it
Neil.
didn't seem like that was clear.
Yeah.
That there's two different
Right.
situations where you'd be
right.
evaluated by your dean as far as how you're teaching.
Right.
and
And then
your
you want to know what
performance,
the
and then
students think of
there's
the
a whole
teacher.
different
Yeah.
student evaluations
Right.
are a separate.
I've just never heard how either one of those go and I always.
Yeah,
keep
and I think
forgetting
that's what I was trying to say is the student evaluations aren't part of anything in the master agreement.
Right.
It's just the
Faculty.
official job performance.
But are there student evaluations that are mandated to get done by teacher occasionally or just? Is this only if the teacher wants to know?
I can't
And
answer
how does
that
the,
question
how would
for
the
you.
faculty evaluate the teacher without that input?
We have a system that the evaluation is put into Canvas. Our faculty development team manages that. It's called evaluation kit, but it goes into Canvas and the student gets prompted that you can evaluate this course.
Okay.
This instructor.
and the faculty looks at it.
I never got a chance to look at my evaluations.
I don't think we had our new system yet. The old system was extremely tedious and time consuming. Our administrative assistants had to hand type the comments to make sure they were anonymous and things like that. Now it's all electronic.
I just think it would help. I'm sure we do. I just don't know how we do it, but it would keep
Yeah, Mark,
everything at a high
Mark
standard.
would be able to answer more questions still unless you have answers to those.
I realize this isn't germane to the discussion. It's just, I keep forgetting
think
to ask.
It could be helpful to have a short presentation at some point of the
We could put,
process.
we could put it on a meeting agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
great.
because, yeah, I can understand that you wouldn't be familiar with it, and it's a very regulated, regular process, so I think we should present it to you, so at some point.
They can see those comments. The faculty can see them at the end of the semester.
Okay. So I've had
I
6
just got
kids
a
go
text.
through and not all
So
of them
people are
are,
watching.
you know, rate their teachers in their classes. Just happens occasionally. I didn't.
We'll put it
I,
on
I
September.
remember we did it at Emporia State. When you're a freshman, you really don't know what you're evaluating. When you're a sophomore, it's kind of like, well, let me hurry up and get through this. And when you're a senior, you're evaluating them real well because you want to graduate. So I'm not sure that, I think that comments that students make to teachers on an individual basis, I always held that as more important evaluations of how I was doing than like a formal evaluation.
I'll just put this on the September discussion agenda and we'll give you some information about
Same
that.
cycle as the faculty being evaluated by the dean. I just got that information.
Okay. Okay.
Same cycle, and they can see those comments from the student at the end of the semester.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have something in September for you. And any other wording changes to this information that I can take back to Shelley when she's back and upright on her feet? Okay, if you think of others as you look at them, let me know.
Okay, moving forward, strategic plan update.
Okay, that's me again. I emailed you, I think, a copy of the annual update. Didn't know if you brought those along with you or not, so. And I think Heather's gonna pull it up for you. So let me run through this with you and then we'll talk a little bit about the discussion and the work that the VPs and associate VPs have done to make some changes for next year.
We got a typo right on mission.
MISSION?
No,
Butler.
right under it, BB,
Oh, okay.
BB Butler.
Thank you.
My typing teacher
put-
came out in
We
me.
put, multiple sets of eyes on these and it's crazy sometimes how you miss things that are just right there in front of you. Mission and vision, haven't changed. It's the same. The strategic plan update. This is information that we included in our update last year. This really allows us to address changes in higher education landscape, design goals and priorities and performance indicators that leverage our strengths for our students, that support our mission and again, support the work that we do in our communities. Ensures a college culture and environment where all faculty, staff, and students belong, engage, and thrive, and direct our vision, work, and resources toward an innovative and progressive vision for the future. The 6 goals at the bottom of that second page really have not, we've wordsmithed them a little bit, but they've been overarching and important goals for this college now for quite a few years. And when we look at them, we always ask ourselves, is this still reflective of our mission? Are these the things that we still need to do and want to do and are important for our students and our staff to do? And so we haven't chosen to really change those. And they obviously aren't in rank order. I mean, this isn't a priority list of what's more important than the other, but it's just the way that they have been listed for quite a few years. And of course, students are our biggest resource and why we do our work. So if you look under support students and their success, we wanted to maximize equitable access for students, and our indicator, our performance indicator and our measure of that was to successfully implement the Kansas Promise Scholarship and the Prison Education Program. And you'll see on the bottom kind of corner of that page that since 2021, when the Kansas Promise Scholarship was launched, Butler has granted more than $1.72 million, dispersed that much to 687 students. And this year, when we finish this up, just this year alone, more than almost $781,000 to just short of 300 students. So we felt that that was very successful. We also wanted to maximize our institutional and foundational scholarships for 2024. Right across from that, you'll see since 2015, more than 8,000 students have received almost $8 million just in foundation scholarships. And this year alone, $807,000. A couple of years ago, the foundation set aside some specific dollars that advisors and admissions folks could use to encourage or to offer to students as they were working with them to get them enrolled. And the foundation continues to do that. So this is kind of an ongoing goal. Priority 2 under this was to improve student outcomes, including retention, persistence, and completion. We wanted to increase the proportion of degrees and certificates awarded. We felt like, obviously this is an ongoing goal, but we were about 90% complete on that. We felt like we had accomplished a lot. And this year, ESOM has reported to you that our retention rate for full-time degree seeking students is at 66% retention, which is a significant jump. Now, historic high. Now, are we going to be able to make another like 5 or 6% jump to next year? And it gets harder and harder all the time. But retention, there's been a really significant effort addressing persistence and retention for our students. And so we're proud of that. You'll see this as a goal again, still for next year. And then addressing strategic enrollment, we wanted to increase access and success of underserved student populations, including first generation learners. And we've done that in some of those sectors of students. We have increased their access and success. And again, you'll see this as kind of an ongoing, continuing goal. The student success dollars that we received from the state for this coming budget year, some of those will be allocated very specifically for efforts for first generation learners and overall student success. When we talked about advancing communities and partnerships, the priority was to strengthen partnerships with business and industry and advisory committees and stakeholders, implementing at least new 8 apprenticeships or internships to support workforce development needs. That we achieved that goal. And again, the business and industry funding that we got from the state last year that we could use for apprenticeships or internships was a boost there. One of the things that the Board of Regents really has never reported on strategically or comprehensively are the non-credit, the hours of non-credit training that we do. We know that this is going to be something that starts to happen moving forward. We get paid right now on our credit bearing work, but the community and technical colleges do, I don't even know what the number is, hundreds of thousands of hours of non-credit training on an annual basis. And so we've decided internally to sort of get ahead of the Board of Regents that our IR folks could develop an internal model for tracking our non-credit training hours, with the idea that when K-Board decides to maybe do this, we can say, we already have a model in place that's working, that we're using, and can probably step up to the plate and maybe use that as a template. So Esam and his team have been working on that.
Is that something we've seen?
No,
Have we
we
seen
did
any reporting on that?
They did a little bit of a presentation for us for the VPs. Was that last week, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, and they're going to do a little bit of an update and come back to VPs I think next month for one of our meetings. And so after they do that, we could show you what it looks like. So, or what their plan is. Oh, let's see. We wanted to also then, as we enhance employee success and excellence, attract and retain the best employees. You folks have been very supportive in our budgets the last few years of allocating 0.5% additional funding for equity. And that's what this is speaking to, budget funding to address market readiness, compensation, and equity for hiring and retention. And those, Shelley has used those dollars very, very strategically and announced yesterday morning in PDD to the faculty that she doesn't always use it every year. She saves it and uses it strategically, but this year is going to be able to move our hourly folks to a minimum wage of $15 an hour. So that will,
Very good.
yeah, that will help. She said, I'm not going to have a whole lot left over. But you know, when you've got that funding, we might as well address and help those folks right now, you know. And then promote internal and external opportunities for professional development and educational advancement. We do have some, you know, great opportunities internally through REAP and through a lot of the faculty development things that happen and the individual opportunities that our folks have. But we really want to continue to try and have a focus on a very comprehensive internal development program that we either develop, that we put our supervisors and our managers through and our folks through, or utilize some outside resources to help us. We're only about 50% complete and ongoing because we just haven't been able to carve out the time to really work on this and to, you know, make progress that's 75% or 80 or 90 or 100% complete. But we want to continue to focus on that.
So Dr. Curl, how do you get to 100% complete? Like, what are the steps?
Well, it just depends. I mean, if that goal, you know, if the goal, like, for instance, with the Kansas Promise Act, I mean, very successful in allocating those dollars and very successful in launching and supporting the prison education program. So it's a conversation about have we done what we say we're going to do, and have we made significant progress or measurable progress that we can identify, that we can say, yeah, we've accomplished this. Some of them have numbers attached to them, and some of them, you know, some of them don't. So another typo. Thank you.
Yeah. It says in May 2024, 4 EDCF residents completed construction technology certifications. 23 completed adult education certifications.
Right.
What's the adult education?
ABE, GED to finish their,
GED,
yeah.
okay.
Where are you?
The top corner of that purple
Top
block.
part of what page?
Page 3.
Page 3.
Yeah.
So the box here.
Thank you.
On the next page, on page 4, where we talk about driving institutional sustainability and growth, strengthen internal and external partnerships to develop new funding sources. Again, this is ongoing. We wanted to develop a plan to broaden donor alumni base. This was based out of the foundation, and that's been a focus in the foundation to go back and look at their alumni base and to identify new prospects and folks maybe that they haven't had a lot of contact with. Obviously, it's an ongoing project, but believe that they've made some good progress there in moving through that to identify potential new donors that are alumni. Again, form at least 6 new business partnerships that result in direct program support. That was accomplished again with college funds, but also some of the B&I funds that came from the state. Ensure institutional accountability and compliance. You 100% complete. You adhered to the HLC and IAC expectations, decisions to hit the deadline for the interim report. So that was an easy one to measure. And you're very successful in getting that done. Champion excellence and innovation, enhance digital literacy and fluency for students and staff. We wanted to increase engagement of digital professional development for employees with business process transformation. And again, felt like that goal had been very successful through the use of a number of different platforms. It's not just Adobe Creative Campus, but we've made some internal changes in creating electronic, platforms for business process. There were some new budget reports that were converted to Power BI to help the folks in finance, some things like that. And then strengthen competency-based education, credit for prior learning, military credit apprenticeships, and again, complete at least 5 new ones. We didn't get 5 done, but we got 4 done. And that's again going to be continuing and ongoing. And then on the back page, inspire values of equity and access. We wanted to maximize a diverse, equitable, and inclusive organizational environment by encouraging engagement, input, communication, and respect towards others' ideas and experiences. We wanted to engage students and staff in conversations to understand needs and eliminate barriers. There were a number of different opportunities and forums with employees, staff, and students to have these discussions and give them opportunities to tell us what things are working for them and what things are not, and how we need to support them in different ways. Providing multicultural and global learning experiences for students, faculty, and staff. Again, these happen through a lot of different venues: student government, the foundation, the Black Student Association, bringing in different groups, whether it's for fine arts or cultural kinds of things. Having the international students always each semester have a international food and dance night where they get to bring some of their traditional food dishes, music, cultural dress, those kinds of things. So this included a lot of different things. Increase access and achievement for underrepresented populations through internal and external partnerships. And again, through ESOM's office, created a dashboard of enrollment, retention, completion, and transfer for first-generation learners. And then we also wanted to enhance recruiting and hiring practices to support a diverse workforce. And we have utilized intentional processes to advertise and attract larger pools of candidates for potential hire. So we felt like that was, those were successful as well. I also included then in the board book for next year, the list of strategic goals and priorities. And again, the overarching goals aren't changing. We did change the title of the last one from inspiring values of equity and access. I think that's what it was. We changed it to inspire values of opportunity. Felt like opportunity was maybe a broader word with a broader meaning maybe. But you'll see under a lot of these, some of the same priorities. We want to maximize access for our students. And so we're going to capitalize on those student success funds that we have to enhance student support services. We're going to implement a couple more positions for enrollment coaches, some things like that. We want to improve their student outcomes for retention, persistence, and completion. That's the same. We want to increase, again, still the proportion of degrees and certificates, and we want to increase the persistence and retention. And we're focusing on first-generation learners for these. We want to continue to address strategic enrollment. And so again, we're looking specifically at increasing access and success of underserved student populations with a focus on first-generation learners. Under the communities and partnerships, the same, strengthen partnerships with business and industry advisory committees and stakeholders. We, in this area, want to implement new apprenticeships and internships to support the workforce development needs in Butler County and surrounding communities, again, with the use of some of the state funding that's coming to us. And then we're going to continue to work on the model for tracking non-credit training hours. in the goal for employee success and excellence, we want to attract, retain, and develop the best employees again. And we want to promote internal and external opportunities for professional development. So we're going to continue to ask for that equity funding so that Shelley can continue to do her work to keep us market competitive. And we want to continue to work on the internal professional development program. We feel like that's a really important goal. For institutional sustainability and growth, strengthen processes and communication to maximize student opportunities. We have an opportunity to develop distinct pathways that crosswalk non-credit to credit training. And so we're going to have a focus on doing some significant work in those areas this year. And then ensuring institutional accountability and compliance. We have to have a very defined focus and get policies and procedures in place and process in place for records retention. And we're not unique in that. Lots of institutions, lots of businesses. I mean, it's just, there's security risks for personal information and things like that. And so we have to get some very defined, we've got records retention practices in place, but they're not as solid and as strong as they need to be. And so we're gonna work a tandem. Cyber, who does our regular cybersecurity work for us that we contract with, is helping us put some very defined policies and procedures in place, and that we will start to implement in this next academic year. Champion excellence and innovation. Again, this kind of is reflective of wanting to address relevant and critical needs of digital literacy and technology. We want to continue to automate and improve workflows and communication because that creates efficiencies for our folks. We have an opportunity to implement a partnership with Enterprise KC through IS, and we want to enhance our cybersecurity posture while we minimize risks. Those are all things in the technology world and the business world that have to have a very defined focus as we move forward. And then inspiring values of opportunity. You'll see again, these are the same priorities as last year, and all of these are to really have a focus on our first generation students, allowing them to have voices at the table, to be parts of conversations, to have them be able to walk through our door and be able to say publicly, but also to say in our actions that everybody is welcome here. This is the college's mission. This is the work that we've done since the very beginning of this college. And we want to be very public and very action oriented so that our students and staff understand that they are valued and they're important, and we want to help them be successful. And then we also want to improve employee readiness through some intentional onboarding processes that are better defined kind of across the college. So those are the things that we're talking about for this coming year, and would enjoy comments or thoughts on these things.
Does anyone have comments?
Dr. Kroll, how are you going to count those non-credit hours when they're not available?
Well, we count them just like, I mean, for instance, if we're doing a non-credit training it's not credit bearing, they're not getting college credit for it, but non-credit training, lots of times if we're doing leadership training, you can count it sometimes by the number of hours that they spend in that training session. I mean, there's different ways to measure those. And it would depend specifically on the different types of training, but sometimes it's just something as simple as counting the hours that they're engaged.
Okay.
So.
My question, but I personally would like to see institutional sustainability of tightening our belt and figure out how to not just throw everything on the taxpayers next year Because that's kind of what we're doing this year. Our costs are going up 19%, we're raising taxes 17%. Maybe throughout the year, we can do some cost cutting measures and really evaluate everything before we get to next August, September. And but that, I mean, that's part of our sustainability is,
So do you folks want to add another priority in this area that would relate to that?
I think it would go under sustainability just to make us
Yeah, it would go under that goal, but
more fiscally responsible with taxpayer money or something. You know,
yeah, we
could
need to have some
actually-
sort of a specific, a
we would need to be able
worded
to
priority.
measure it. Like, you know, total credit hours divided by total tax paid is a metric. That you can just, we have X number of students and the taxpayers are paying this much. Does it need to keep going up even if we have fewer students? We're paying more and more and more per student. And
Well, that-
an hour.
But then the students are paying for some of it too.
Right, but these are adults that are choosing to come to college. We've already paid K through 12 their entire lives as taxpayers. If we choose to go to college, it should be an adult's responsibility, not the other, our neighbors' responsibilities. I just think part of us being sustainable should be our customers, you know, class sizes, our expenses,
What
our
we
footprint,
offer.
number of buildings we have, insurance. I mean,
Well,
how
part
does
of
that
your,
work?
Well,
with
part of your
sustainability?
state dollars is $9 million going to Emporia State to keep them sustainable.
You know, you say Emporia every month, but we're talking about Butler County taxpayers.
They're,
Emporia doesn't get their local taxpayers money. I mean,
they're getting
all of us
they're
pay
getting
state
$9 million
taxes.
from the state of Kansas, of which I pay into, you pay
we do too,
into.
but Butler gets state money as well.
Well, Butler derives
So-
an economic benefit from the college being here. It's not just it's not just money out
No, I
with no,
understand,
with
but-
no benefit back.
Roughly 70% of our teachers and students come from Sedgwick and we foot the bill and they go home.
They pay more though to come here too.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to be sustainable, we need to maybe just
So
really focus on it throughout the year.
if you want a priority that relates to that, it has to be concise. It has to be.
Measurable.
Yeah, we need some sort of, guide, you know, a statement that we can identify as a priority that we can then assign an action.
I think,
Pathway
like,
to.
I think what kind of what Shelby's getting at is the charts that were shown is always. But it's spending and it's taxes. It's like those are the only two metrics that are shown to be. What can impact sustainability at this college when there's a million other things. That could be impacting sustainability. I think that's the only point he's trying to make is that taxes can't be. The only thing we go to. You know, make adjustments.
We agree. I think we also reminded you that between last year and this year, we've cut $1.4 million out of positions at this college. So it's not just increasing expenses. We also have made cuts and reductions. We also, you know, as the budget was presented to you folks this year, you know, the list of needs was a whole lot longer than what we brought to you. We spent a lot of time in our budget process really talking about, is this an absolute necessity? Do we have to go to the board and ask for additional dollars to support this? Do we have another means to address these needs? And so there's a lot of that conversation that happens before that budget ever comes to you folks too, that, you know, that you wouldn't be aware of those conversations, but
We're not
but we
supposed-
have made cuts.
We're not supposed to micromanage as a board. We're just trying to direct you all a little bit to see how we can save some money and for our expenses. Because our budget this year is higher than the budget last year, even though we cut 1 point whatever May.
But inflation.
Our insurance has gone up.
But it shouldn't just be 17% tax increase on us as a county that only 20% of our students are from our county. I would just say like Kent's chart was like our spending and our savings and taxes, and that was only metric. And like why I tried to bring up what I did in March, like our class sizes, if we could offer fewer times, which would make the class sizes larger, maybe prioritize teachers from our county. But give them first shot at the classes, that would cut our expenses because the majority of our expenses is payroll and enrollment. I know no one wants to lose their job, but
Well, I
we
think
have to address that.
Well, and we've shared information with you. Heather and her team have shared a lot of information with you folks about the use of Ad Astra, that classes are being consolidated. They are looking at usage. They're looking at scheduling time. So we are consolidating and we are increasing fill rates in some of the classes or not putting classes on the schedule. Your comment about offering classes to Butler County instructors first, the master agreement dictates part of how those full-time faculty get to choose the classes that they want to teach. So your comment about offering the classes to Butler County faculty first doesn't work because the master agreement identifies how those class assignments can be made and who has priority over teaching them. And even from the standpoint of full-time versus adjunct faculty.
Well,
So-
however shakes that on your end, but maybe do the Ad Astra. Then just get seriously about it, like we have to save 10% of our payroll next year. How do we do it? How do we modify the classes and schedules to do that?
Well,
And then
it's
proceed
not-
over the next year to try and go in that direction. I'm not asking
Yeah.
for it tomorrow.
I know I say this a lot. It's
Oversimplified.
very easy. It is very oversimplified because you have to take into account, like, if we're seeing an enrollment growth, if we start making all these sudden changes to things and we see that number go down, it's a balance. We have to listen to our students.
We've had 13-year decline with no real change. And even you said the other day.
I would say no real change is not accurate.
Okay.
Because
But
I'm
WSU
here
is
every
at a
day.
record
These
high.
people
I understand.
behind me are here every day and we
But-
work hard.
But
to
our
make
answer
those
this year is to
adjustments.
increase taxes 70%. I don't think that's the right.
Well,
balance.
so to your point, trustee Brungart, that isn't the only thing. That
That's the only
isn't,
thing that was on the chart that we were.
We didn't-
shown.
we didn't
That's what my
raise-
point was.
Like,
right, I
For our dorm-
understand,
for our
but to
dorms,
say
we raised
that
the cost
all
of-
we're doing is raising taxes and we're doing nothing else isn't accurate either.
But we
But
weren't,
that's
we aren't
the-
shown that on this charts is what I'm saying. That's the metric that we're
Right.
shown.
Not on the
So-
chart, but we present it on a monthly basis.
So like Bill, for our dorms, it went up 4% or 5% or whatever it was for our cost and inflation. Their capacity, and we've generated more revenues, and I think they're actually slightly profitable this year by raising costs. We chose not to raise costs for out-of-county students. We dropped it $1 for in-county. We'll see how that works. But we're not making our customers pay a little more, which is maybe we should consider that as part of the revenue generation.
Well, I think it is considered every year. We just made a conscious decision that
No,
we
I know.
thought we'd generate more students and more revenue
he-
by
But to
keeping
Heather's
prices
point,
the
I mean,
same.
you said we're trying to consolidate with Ad Astra or Visa, whichever one it is, but you also said if somebody wants a class at a certain time, because it fits their schedule, we'll consider creating that.
That's an oversimplification
No,
again.
that's
It's
what
a
you said
pretty,
a couple months ago.
well,
I'm
What we're
just asking
saying
if you
is
could.
that
So
it's
are we looking
not,
for a
it's
bullet
not
point?
as simple
Yeah.
as.
Are we looking for a bullet point or
Yes,
are we
sir.
just gonna rehash the same stuff?
Yeah,
Rehash
we're
every month?
looking for. a
Because I have,
Bullet point would be
I have
great.
things to do.
thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
I
So,
would like
so if you
to
want a bullet
suggest
point, okay,
that we look at developing other sources of revenue to ease the burden of the taxpayers of Butler County.
I would also like to suggest that instead of deciding all of these things in a vacuum with everything being an argument, when we get down to what are the tuitions going to be? What is this going to be? I've asked for my time here that we do a sustainable plan. I think it's a multi-year plan. We can see what has happened by reducing the mill levy to the point now that we're not going to be able to have the retained funds that we need very quickly here in the future. There were things we could have done along the way that wouldn't have included raising any kind of mill levy, but we've gotten ourselves to the place that we have to do something now because we were looking at one little thing at a time. So I know
when
that.
we get to the public hearing, you could talk about that a little bit more.
Okay, but like I said, I agree with your bullet point. I would also like to see us take a look at a multi-year, multi fee and cost plan, not just one thing at a time. In other words, if we kept trying things on tuition, let's look at something that is longer, more sustainable, And I still say if we had just taken the assessed valuation increase, we would not be in this position today. So like I said, I think we need to look at multi-years. So I agree with other funding sources. I personally have been looking at some of those opportunities. And I would also like to see us look at a multi-year plan, even though I won't be here beyond one more budget cycle after this. There still could be things put in place that give us indications of making changes and what kind of impact we'll see. So.
So,
that's my
I
two
guess my
cents.
question is, do you want a sustainability goal, developing other sources of funding? Do you want that as part of a goal in this strategic plan?
Personally, I say
This year?
yes.
Yes.
We do
Okay,
that-
well,
we do
we'll,
that and cost cutting, or just look for more revenue and we don't find it, we raise taxes. I mean, we could do both as a business.
If we look for a 3-year
Control costs.
plan,
increase-
we'll look at both.
Yeah, somehow controlling costs while looking for external revenue.
And maybe the cost control issue isn't that, at least, well, I'll speak for myself. I would support adding that, but not from the context that you're not already doing it.
Right.
But we're just not seeing what's being done. So maybe it's a matter of having better visibility into what steps the team is taking to manage costs before we get a budget presented to us, where really the only two levers we have are tuition and fees and taxes.
And I'm not trying to
Okay,
blame
that's what I
them, I'm
was
just trying to
say,
get
but apparently I've.
8 months ahead of where we are now and just say, hey, let's head that direction as we go throughout the year and have that be a bullet point. So we have more options and we're constantly thinking about it before the budget rolls up on
Do-
next year.
Do we want to include in that bullet point a strategic or a sustainability plan with that bullet point?
no, I think the best thing for you to do, I mean, because this is basically just to set the stage for this coming year. You have a great opportunity with a new president coming in. I know you want to do visioning. I know you want to do some of those things. Why don't you think about using some of that time with your new president coming in and have somebody come in and work with you to help you figure out how to develop that piece as part of a multi-year strategic plan. The president's going to come in with some new ideas and some new opportunities, and that might be a great time to broaden that goal to include, the multi-year plan for sustainability. I don't know at this point in time. Well, certainly it's up to you guys. If you want us to do that, we will start to work on that now, but I know you've talked about, wanting that opportunity to vision with the new president, so.
They're gonna come in January, so it is probably the best discussion to have for the future.
Okay, one last comment. Does anyone have any other comments on the strategic plan update? If not, I have one, and that is I've noticed that under the inspire values of equity and access, that we've changed that to inspire values of opportunity, and that we have removed the maximize a diverse, equitable, and an inclusive organizational environment. And we've gone to encourage engagement, input, communication, and respect towards others' ideas and experiences, which was already there. I've been thinking over the time that I've been here, we've had a number of discussions, not maybe discussions, but we've had a number of times the topic of DEI or diverse, equitable, and inclusive that have come up. And for the sake of saving time, I have not been vocal whatsoever about my thoughts on this. And so, not that my thoughts make a difference, but I will say that we need to remember that one person's opinion, just my opinion, is not the opinion of this board. And I fear, and we've heard over time about some people that have left and different things, that they did not feel included. They felt like we weren't embracing the diversity and equitable treatment of them, and that they weren't always included. And I will just say that, as far as equitable, last year, there was no way I could vote to treat 6 or 8 employees and give them less of a raise than everyone else. I feel like everyone has to be treated the same. In reference to inclusiveness, Diversity is so broad. It isn't just about the things that come to mind first, whether it be culture or religion or race or anything else, but just all of the other things that come into play there. And it breaks my heart to think that we have people that come to this campus or that are our employees that don't feel like we're the leaders, that we're giving a sense of inclusiveness from the board level. So I just wanted to make those comments. The inspire values of opportunity, fine, but I think that we need first and foremost to be sure that we make sure the people that we serve, as far as the students and our employees, feel valued here, and that they don't feel like we haven't been inclusive.
Very good.
That's all I have to
Very
say.
good.
If anyone else wants to make comments, that's fine.
I would just
And
say-
I don't speak for the board, I speak for myself.
I've said forever, we just need to be a meritocratic college, and we give us your best, we'll give you our best, period. We won't discriminate for any reason. And that's funny, you give me a smile, but that's what I've said the entire time. Just give us your best, we'll give you our best without discrimination or singling people out based on anything.
I smiled because you just made a comment that we should only hire in-county faculty.
I didn't say that. I said, give them preference,
Give them preference
right?
and then cut jobs. We should,
Yes,
we should
we-
hire the best faculty for the position
Whoever's the best.
regardless
I
of
want
where they
I
live.
want the
That's
best.
just,
And if
that's
two
the
are
only reason
equally
I was
good,
correcting.
just give preference to the person who lives in the county and pays county taxes. But I still want the best of the best while cutting costs. I don't want inferior teachers who keep teaching my kids.
This is something that we could go on and on about, so we can either put it on at another time, but if everyone's okay or doesn't have other comments, I'd like to move forward.
In moving forward, we took the Butler hazardous mitigation plan out of the consent edition,
Oh, yeah.
consent agenda, and we put it as board item number D
Oh, okay.
as point of business order.
Thanks, Dave, for that reminder.
So that
About that.
CA
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah, 10C came out and became 9D.
Okay, so 9D,
Yes.
but
So it will be a board item that we'll need to vote on.
That goes, that.
it goes down here.
Yeah, it's gonna be the
D
last.
down
board
here.
item.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have notice of public hearing.
Yes,
Okay.
I think.
put this up on the screen here. So, of course, the notice of public hearing is part of the statutory process that we have to go through in order to finalize our budget. We're asking you, the high points are on page 40 here. The amount of taxes to be levied is 14,406,813. That would compare to the last year's levy of 12,748,659. Valuation estimate this year is 1,085,817,539, which is an increase of about 4.5% from last year. And we're asking for the 1 mil increase this year. The information that Kim passed out to you shows you, and this is not new information, obviously, but it's just a summary. It kind of goes back to Linda's comment that she felt like it would have been her recommendation over time to take the valuation increase. We've obviously not taken the valuation increase and allowed the mill levy to drop. The general fund mill levy in 2020 was 17.4 mils, and it went down to 2024 to 12.26 mils. So we're asking for the 1 mil increase. We think it's necessary to give us an opportunity to go through some of this budget analysis that was mentioned in the last part of the session here, see if there are other options. And obviously, we're above the revenue neutral rate of 11.671. So that's our recommendation. We would ask you to approve this. It does set the maximum amount of taxes to be levied, and it would set the maximum amount of expenditures, which by fund add up to 91,837,000 roughly. So I would be, we sent out the budget booklet. It's been our practice the last few years, not to make a presentation on that at the August board meeting. It's really just a summary of what we've been showing to you for the past 3 months, but I would be happy to try to answer any questions that you would have on the budget at this time.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the notice of hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate and budget hearing as attached with a maximum amount of expenditures of $91,837,196 and a max amount of tax to be levied of $14,406,813.
Second.
One question for Kent, maybe. I don't need it right now. Could you let me know what the total foundation budgeted part of the? So I went through the whole book last night, couldn't find the itemized. It's like number 735 on that info. I asked for
Okay,
a few months.
so let me just clarify. We pay for certain salaries out of the general fund budget. Is that the part of the budget?
Yeah, so I was curious how it continues.
Yes, we can.
I've got 21, 23, 24 here. I was just.
Yeah, I think we have presented that in the past, so we can
I just
certainly.
don't know what it's going to be for next year and I couldn't find it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion?
I just had a question in the book, the board book, it shows our total all funds is 91,837,000. In the budget book that was sent out, it shows 93,837.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't know
thank
if
you for
there's a
pointing that out.
Typo somewhere.
No, I meant to mention that I added $2 million more to the student union residence hall fund. I looked at that and, we have this statutory obligation that if we were ever to overspend any of our budgets, they could take away our state aid. I don't know that actually applies to the campus life funds, but it would only it would not change what our plan is in that area. But if there was any kind of emergency or if something happened towards the end of the year where we wanted to use some of the residence hall funds for some kind of major expenditure, it would give us a little more leeway. It doesn't change at all what we intend to spend. And I apologize for not, I had totally intended to mention that, but that's what that's for.
So how does our total funds go from 71,524 to 93,837? I mean, that's a $22 million jump.
Okay, in the budget book that we give you on page very end, so next to the last page of the whole book, we do a reconciliation of that. And so there's a lot of funds like our designated funds where we don't actually budget for those funds, but we need the authority to spend those funds. And like our deferred maintenance, we actually could spend all that money down, but we don't have that in our operating budget. We don't actually budget. We put in a spending plan to spend some of that money, but it's important that we have this cushion, so to speak, that allows us to spend more if the board would approve more spending. We would not spend that money without bringing it forward and having it approved. We still have purchasing policies that say we can't spend that money without your approval.
So we've had 22 million just kind of set aside that we didn't really know about or wasn't really in this page until now. All of a sudden this year, we're bringing it forward and say we can spend it. I'm confused.
We do this every year, and what it does is allow us to have a higher potential spending than what our our intended spending is, but that would only be done if there was an emergency, if there was a special large project that the board approved. Those are the only ways that it goes up there.
But the
But it does
$22
not
million
affect,
is
it does
there.
not affect the amount that we're asking the taxpayer in the mill levy
Yeah,
at all.
I
It has no
understand that,
effect
but
on,
I understand that, but if it was put in the budget for next year that you plan to spend this, I guess my question is, where is that 22 million and where has it been? It's just, that's a,
I can't answer where it's been.
It was in
What I can
last year's
tell you
legal
is-
budget,
Is
wasn't it?
that our savings account?
No,
so-
no. These,
I don't
we
mean to
have,
sound ignorant. I'm
we
just-
have the possibility to spend more than what we budget. And this would allow us to do that. And also, part of the problem is we have to allow for that in each separate fund. So if we spend 94 or 97 million, whatever it is, your 93,
Almost 94.
it would be more than we could afford. But this would allow us in bits and pieces to do that. So
I think the perception is that numbers changed from last year. Do you know, Kent, what our legal budget was for 2024?
Yeah, it's
Well, no.
71,560.
I would have, yeah, I can look it up and tell you,
The total. all-
I think it was still in the nineties.
No, it-
it was like 87
It was
million.
87.
We do this every year.
That's the only
Okay.
time of the year we see it though, which is all.
like
I
right
know
there.
that at the city level, if they didn't budget the entire fund and they needed the money, then there's, what is the process that you have to go back through to be able to use it? I mean, it's
To go
not
back to the taxpayers and
Yeah.
ask for the authority to spend it.
spend, to spend it. So
So if we showed, I don't mean to interrupt you, Linda, but if we showed 80 some thousand last year, why is it showing 71.5 as our prior year number?
what
page are
the
you on?
actual expenditures.
Page
were there.
17. Oh, okay, so you're
Unaudited
saying that's what
expenditures
actually what we
actually
did.
spent.
That makes sense. I just, to me, it was just like nothing lined up, so. All good.
It was always hard to figure out why you had the full fund balances sometimes in the authority.
Well, and
But
to
it
say
was
that if we
to-
spend them, we couldn't afford that, then I'm like, then why are we budgeting? That's how my brain
You're
works.
sort of budgeting it. You're budgeting it just in case. But if we had to spend those additional dollars, we might have to go out. If there was an emergency, we would potentially have to go out and actually borrow them because we don't have them
Okay.
sitting somewhere. Is that a simple explanation?
It is.
basically?
I also,
Yeah, that makes sense. That was my question. I'm like, is this money just magically
No,
there?
no,
Or
it's
do we
not.
not have, like, why are we budgeting
No,
what we
it's
don't
not here.
spending when?
so the actual amount that is in the recommended motion is 91 million.
So is that the correct number instead of the 93?
Well, I had intended it to be the 93, but what you passed today will set that limit, so you know, the 91 is fine. It just leaves us a little less leeway for something really unexpected in the student union. So I think the 91 is fine. So
Okay,
so this got changed in the book here, but it didn't get changed. That's my fault. On the recommended action. So the motion that's been made is for the 91 million. And I think that's fine.
Well, if you're saying the recommendation would have been 93, then I would just move to amend the motion to reflect the maximum amount of expenditures to be 93,837,196.
And if you do that, what you're doing is just allowing an extra 2 million of cushion in the campus life funds. And I apologize for that oversight on my part.
Okay, so we have amendment to 93,837,196. Do I have a
I'll second.
Okay, and is there any other discussion about that? Not, would you please take a roll call vote for the amendment
This is just to amend the motion.
to amend the motion?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, now we have a motion and an amended motion to, and a second. And is there any other discussion?
Discussions, I completely understand this is only to have the notice of hearing. It's not for approving it, it only approves the maximum, but I'm still gonna vote against it. So I'm totally against raising taxes, so I'm gonna vote no, but I understand.
Other discussion? If not, would you please take roll call?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
No.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. How many people are there? 5-2.
I meant to vote no. Like talking to my wife.
It took me 1 second and I went, wait a minute.
Started reading.
Allowed to change their votes after Catherine just pointed
Yes,
that out.
no, I meant. I did that to you our first meeting.
Yeah.
I think you meant the other one.
Yeah.
Best part of the evening there, right? Good
As long as I can get.
Well, and it took me that 1 second to go, wait a minute.
I was actually reading and then just totally out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next board action item is the no, is that where I am?
Yes, that's correct.
Negotiated agreement.
I would move to approve it as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? We have a motion and second. If not, we'd have a roll call vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
We have a ratified agreement.
Yay. And we're very pleased.
Yes.
So next, board action item is compensation increases.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Trustees recommends the approval of salary and health insurance increases for staff employees and part-time faculty for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion in reference to compensation increases?
I just had one question. I assume the insurance contribution is on a 12-month cycle. It's not,
Yes.
if you're working for 9 months, it's still 12 months worth of that number. I mean, this is the monthly contribution
Yeah,
for 12
folks,
months.
yeah,
even though-
folks can elect, I mean, full-time faculty can elect to be paid over a 12-month
month.
period or a 9-month period. So I'm maybe speaking out of turn here for Shelley, but my sense would be that if they only are choosing to take their pay over 9 months,
would
then
still get-
that this would be reflected that way. Yeah.
Okay, we have the motion and second. Any
Trustee
other
Good?
discussion?
Sorry.
I don't think there was. Okay, go ahead.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Based on my wife's employment, I will abstain.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-0 with with
Abstention.
one abstention. Okay, so the addition to the Butler Hazard Mitigation Plan as 9D.
My only question, I was looking through here, it's all about mold mitigation and everything, and on page 56 at the bottom, we've got a low priority covered parking lot, which we've talked about before, for our fleet of a $400,000 estimated cost. I think we should either strike that for now or put it on another agenda and approve that as a board, not just have $400,000 be approved in the consent agenda under the heading of mold remediation
I don't
or hazardous
think-
mitigation plan.
I don't think that that's what that reflects. I think that that reflects the fact that if there was some sort of disaster, and we had, I mean,
Says covered parking lot for Butler Fleet vehicles.
this doesn't mean that we're purchasing that and we're doing that. I think that what we're saying is that if we had that in place, that's how it would be valued, or that would be the estimated cost of it. Am I right in thinking that, Bill? Is that how?
And Ireland can chime in on this as well.
Budget.
This is basically saying if there, what kinds of plans could be put in place if we had different hazards hit the county.
Yes,
So
that
there's
is
no
correct.
plan for that.
No.
It's just-
No plan for that. That is, if we had the money, that would be one of the projects that we would list to
it's a low
protect us for.
priority, because I think
Yes,
in the
correct.
budget, way down in the list, like near the bottom was covered carports for 250
Yes,
grand,
correct.
similar thing.
Right.
Correct. It is.
We're not
on
approving it, it's just
No.
No, all this is a
rainy day.
want
We have
list
jackpot
for
and Kansas
FEMA.
pays for every student.
Yes, if we would happen to, FEMA would come up with some money to actually fund all this, that may be on the list, so.
Okay, and that's separate from the 250 grand for the carports or.
Yes, yes, we don't have the carports on any list in the future.
All right.
It's on
I
a
would move
want
to
list.
approve the college hazardous mitigation plan.
You might want to read it out of here to mention, because it's got a resolution to it.
I would move to approve resolution 2408 that adopts 2024 Kansas Homeland Security Region G Hazard Mitigation Plan as a hazard mitigation plan for Butler Community.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? If none, we move forward with the vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. I would move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
And I will second approving the.
What did you
consent.
amend?
We took
Well,
off.
We took out that mitigation.
I don't have to say that.
Okay, do we have, and we had a motion and a second, vote please.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, next supplemental information, key performance indicators, Dr.
I
Mohammed.
think ESOM has a little update for you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is the first one in the cycle for this year. What you notice is completions, the absolute numbers have gone up from 1,327 to 1,372, which is a pretty significant increase. And we still haven't gotten this audited by the Kansas Board of Regents. That'll happen sometimes early next month. But as I had promised you, once we are reasonably certain that these are actual numbers, we want to present it to you. This is good information. And this is good news, especially in the context of the fact that our enrollment has declined. From smaller number of people, we are getting more people who are getting out with credentials. So you get to see that. And what we'll also see when I come back to you with numbers for graduation rates, because of this, it's likely, fingers crossed, it is likely that our graduation rate may go up as well. So it's like a twofer, so to speak. Anticipating some of the questions which may come up that, well, how did this happen? Did you just create numbers from thin air? No, I did not. Couple of things happen here. One, lot of credit to our registrar and her team that our reverse transfer rates have gone up. We got more people who have done it somewhere else. They did everything that they could do here. We found them, got them degrees. So that's one of the smaller parts of it. Of the majors and programs, I know earlier today we were talking about culinary arts. Those numbers have gone up in 2020. That was one of the areas which we saw an increase. The other place we saw an increase, and I'm glad you're sitting there, Derek, that our AGS Lord in agriculture, those numbers did also go up. So that's pretty good. Elementary education completions. And we also saw some increase in multimedia. And the biggest one, the certified nursing assistant, the CNA.
What?
Certified nursing aides.
Oh.
It's one of the short-term programs, but that went up significantly. And when you combine all of that, you get to a point where you see significant increase in our overall completions. So a lot of hard work went into it. I wish I could take credit for all of it. I can't. I'm just reporting it to you. But this is, I think this is good information, which we'll build upon in in the next couple of months when I come back with graduation rates. And with that, you know, my usual disclaimer, easy questions me, hard questions my boss. I'm here.
So if we did have a bump in enrollment this fall, that could actually lower our retention rate because we'd have a bigger pool of people if retention stayed the same. But I mean, it would be beneficial because we'd have more students. But I mean,
Not necessarily. If the numbers went up in fall and if we kept the same efforts, I'd expect it to remain the same. But as Dr. Trull earlier pointed out, the 65 or 66% was pretty high. I'm hoping we can keep that, but even 1% less than that would still be historic. But I see where you're coming from. Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll go on to. We have the corrected monthly statement of revenues and expenditures. So the last two things are the thank you notes and the board calendar.
Right. Great thank you note from Keisha, again, for the cheer camps that we host on campus. And so it's always fun to do those. The calendar of activities, I would like to suggest, I've talked to Linda and I guess talked to Mary Martha too, would like to cancel the August work session. We don't have a lot that we need to present. Kent's going to be gone. I'm going to be gone. Others going to be gone. We've got, you know, people kind of coming and going. And we talked this morning and we really don't have anything that we need to bring to that work session that we couldn't wait and bring to the September board. So that would be my suggestion. Unless, I mean, do you really want to meet for an August work session?
Send me a strongly worded email. I'm already.
A strongly worded email to don't
It contains the information.
Oh, I could
read this now.
Okay. All
So
right. That sounds
no
good.
August
Yay.
work session.
No August work
Okay.
session.
And then I just built out the activity calendar a little bit more to include some of the fine arts events that are on the schedule starting in September, August, September, a little bit in October. So start to put those on your calendars.
Okay, and finally, then we have executive session. I would say that we could go into executive session for 30 minutes instead of 60.
You know this group, right?
Can we
I
just make
know.
it an hour and come out
Yeah, just
early?
make it.
Okay, we'll make it an hour, come out early.
Yeah,
That's fine with me.
Madam Chairman, I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss negotiations and non-elected personnel pursuant to the open meetings exception for said matters. And that the board, Shelley and Kim are not here,
They
so,
are, yeah, so it's just board.
and that the board be included. We would like to meet for 1 hour and resume in the Dankert trustee boardroom within 60 minutes.
Second.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Dennis.
Smashing job.
Jennifer had a phone message.
Boxes everywhere.
I couldn't wait any longer.
They need to know their.
But I made it fast.
And so you know. I'm not-
Today we did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, just so you down there. All right.
Well, I was saying, just so in case you need to stall a vote. I forgot that I did that.
That's what I would like to do.
I can contact.
You're flying back and forth, right? Oh, are you? Okay, good.
Well, I went on a vacation to California, saw my nephew, went to, got out there on a Friday, Saturday, we went up to, the
6:30 and we're out by 7.
We need to do this more often. Meet, say 60 minutes and then,
Or 90.
or 90.
Yeah.
Not
120,
right.
whatever.
Ugh.
And
We
then
can
be
come out a
done.
lot earlier.
I think it takes the wind out of our sails. We're just like, I don't want to be in there for an hour.
I know.
But if it's like 30 minutes, like we can do anything in 30 minutes.
Okay.
He's not over here.
Okay. So we went into executive session around 6:30 and we're back out at 7:03, 7 o'clock.
I would move to adjourn.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And vote.
Can I get a 7-0?
Second.
What?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yep.
Be very Martha.
Yes.
Did we have any,
Thanks, everyone.
did we have,
Take some more snacks, please.
I don't know, did we have any items to follow up on? What it normally does?
Well,
I have them.
Did we have anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna put I wrote it down, it's on my other note, the